Testing. 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. We've come all the way back. All the way back. With opinions and straight facts. At Backlick Cinema, the podcast. I'm your host, Zoe, that's Z-O or Z-O. To the cinema fans overseas, it's the 93rd episode. Thank you for downloading and streaming. We really appreciate it. And we're going to talk about the movies of yesteryear. The movies from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. If you like what you're about to hear, then please take time out to offer some support by giving us a rating or review on your favorite podcast app. You can also share our show on social media. Speaking of which, please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and now TikTok. You can find the details in the show notes. So one of the things I wanted to announce is that I got a nice note from a guest that I had on the show. His name was Cameron. He's from both the Green Shirt Podcast and Open Pike Night. And what he wrote on, what's it called? Apple Podcasts. And he wrote, Nostalgia to the Nine. Zoe is showing his son Zach the films of his youth just like a good dad should. But since Zoe is a great dad, he's doing it in podcast form. Although with great guests, Zoe offers fantastic insights and hilarious commentary on some of our favorite films of bygone years. I'll leave the links to those great shows, the shows that I mentioned, which is Green Shirt Podcast and Open Pike Night. I think I read that wrong. I'm befuddled. But let's skip on to the next item, the most important item. It is how did they say that? It's the last but not least. Obviously, as promised, is a special guest that I promised you from last week. He's returning guest. That's the word that they use. He's a returning guest. One of my great friends in the podcast industry. I'd like to reintroduce a great colleague with a couple of excellent podcasts out there for your listening pleasure. With the PL, pleasure. Rocky, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you.
Thank you. That was choppy, but we got through it.
Yeah, I know, right. A rough morning. Yeah, early in the morning. I didn't do all of my vocal exercises.
Yeah. Didn't drink your hot water. Huh?
Yeah. Didn't do the hot water. Didn't gurgle with the stuff. I guess it would have helped if I gurgled with salt water.
Yeah,
or something like that. But you got to get through it the best you can.
That's it.
Didn't have my cup of Joe. How you feeling this morning?
I'm okay.
Right.
Yeah, I'm making it. Yeah,
you're just making it. Yeah. So I'm glad you was able to return to the show. I just listened to your show. What's it called? Pardon My Fandom. And you had an interview with Neil, and you guys talked about Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, and that was a good one. Yeah.
That was definitely a good one. Neil was basically on his Mortal Kombat joint, right?
Oh yeah, and the thing is, Neil probably could have won another solid hour and a half. I cut Neil short.
Right.
But yeah, Neil had at least another hour with him because after we went off, Neil had props and he had vintage video games and all kinds of stuff to show. So
right. Yeah. He knew he was all up in it. I really enjoyed that episode because I like you. Actually, we're all the same. Like we love Mortal Kombat. We just not that great at the game.
Yeah, I'm just not that great. Yeah. I love the story and everything. I just suck at the actual part of fighting.
Yeah. I mean, I love playing the game. I just recognize that I'm not that good at it.
Yeah.
But so as long as, because there's like some advanced techniques, like when you really get good at the game, then you're into zones and you're into like hit boxes and all that kind of stuff. It's like and combos. I can memorize like one or two combos and I'll rely on that for the whole game.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, jump, kick.
Yeah. So, but I truly like, and I'm looking forward to what they're having coming up next, and also So what's some of the upcoming guests you have on Pardon My Fandom?
Actually, Pardon My Fandom, we just recorded our season finale last night. So it was 20 episodes total for the season. And last night was our season finale, which is a horror edition. I had on BDC, my co-host from Audio Oddity, and Tony Z from Infinite Journeys and Jump Scare Club. And we just kind of sat there and talked about horror movies and, the horror genre and what we like, what we didn't like. And it was fun,
That's pretty awesome. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that episode.
Yeah, that'll be up hopefully tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of BDC, both of you are now co-hosting Audio Oddity. Got basically a new format. It now is really focused on gaming news. So I'm continuing to enjoy that podcast. So tell me what are some of the most impactful game news that you run across since you started doing it?
Impactful. I say probably as of right now, relatively recently is this Blizzard, Blizzard being bought by Microsoft, Activision. Blizzard Activision,
yeah.
And Sony basically little butthurt about it. I guess it's
like, but Call of Duty, right?
Yeah, they're a little upset
you don't understand.
about it.
And that's really what their main concern is Call of Duty, because they put so much resources into that franchise that they don't own. So
and the most recent thing about it is, like, I think Xbox says something like, Sony's too big to fail, which to me seemed like a I don't know, like a sarcastic comment. Like,
it probably is. He's probably been told that.
Yeah, like, oh, God forbid we do this. Sony's too big to fail. That's the way I read it. So.
Right. No, Sony is definitely not too big to fail. They were like, for example, we're talking about the thing in conversation right now is the Warner Brothers Discovery merger. And Warner Brothers was once owned, I believe, by AOL. It was Warner was either merged or owned by Time, and then AOL bought Time Warner. So it was like AOL was huge. Like, that seemed like it was too big to fail. And now it's dust.
And you're old enough to remember the 30-hour disc.
Right.
AOL used to send out, and that was like, that was everything to us for a while.
None of our children remember AOL.
No, but that internet would not exist without AOL.
Right. But and yet that was once a huge company. It's not anymore. So Sony is definitely not too big to fail, but they do have I think I'll say that as a company as a whole, it's pretty large. But as far as their gaming division isn't too big to fail. Anything could happen that one bad business decision could cause their people to forget that the PlayStation ever existed.
Stuff, like, if you had told me in 90, the early 90s or so that, hey, Sega Genesis won't be around anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
We would have been like, you're crazy.
Right.
And
you're nuts. Sega's been involved in gaming for
for a very long time. Right. And they were like there was Nintendo and Sega. There was a staples.
Right.
And if you told me, hey, it's gonna be gone, you'd be like, nah.
Right.
That ain't gonna happen. Absolutely. Nintendo, probably one of the if not the biggest name in gaming, it was almost gone. People forget those Wii U days. That was about to be it. Like, Nintendo was seriously considering this is it.
Right.
Before the Switch came along and saved the day. So.
Right. Well, that's the one thing about Nintendo. They're able to pivot and survive, because they've been around since 1800, not as video games, but still
just as a company in general.
Right. I feel like
as a video game company, it was rumored of them going the way of Sega, as in just making games and giving them to other consoles, and and that so if they're not too big to go away,
right. Absolutely. So obviously the reason I brought you here was to talk about a movie. But before we get to that movie, I'm going to take a break to acknowledge a partnership that I have with Beth and Christian from the Made for TV Movie podcast. If you need to find them, you can just give them a Goog at #MFTVMC podcast, and now a word from the Made for TV Movie Podcast.
Hello, everyone. I'm Beth.
And I'm Kirsten, and we are the hosts of the Made for TV Movie Club podcast. Beth, we've been friends for a long time.
We sure have, Kay, since before Rachel kissed Ross for the first time.
It's true, and since we share a love of all things TV, we decided to team up to review our favorite TV movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
You don't need to watch the movie. We did that for you.
You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, including Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Deezer, and iHeartRadio.
And find us on our socials.
Join us in our Facebook group, Made for TV Movie Club Podcast. Follow us on Insta at made_for_TV_movie_club. Tweet us at TV Movie Club Pod 1.
Or give us a Goog at #TVMC Podcast, and you'll find us.
We'll see you soon in the clubhouse.
And we're back. And when I sent you the notes, I warned you that there would be errors, and indeed there is an error. So on your notes, it probably says something like City Slickers, but obviously we didn't watch City Slickers. Why don't you tell the audience what we watched?
Naked Gun.
The Naked Gun.
The Naked Gun.
Or the full title of the movie, The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad.
yeah, yeah, okay.
So why don't you tell us about this movie?
An LA police officer, Nordberg, was attacked and left for dead while tracking down heroin dealers, and it's up to Lieutenant Frank Drebin from the Special Police Squad unit to figure out what Nordberg was investigating and bring the perpetrators to justice.
Yep. I was able to write that. That's because it's such a simple plot, but it's so funny. It's like it's not in this movie. It's not the plot; it's the jokes.
yeah.
So this movie was released on December 2nd, 1988, produced by Paramount Pictures. It grossed over $78 million in the U.S. and Canada on a $12 million budget, and it had good reviews, good to great reviews. It was like, it was awesome. I remember fully enjoying this movie when I was growing up. So, who starred in this movie?
The movie is starring Leslie Nielsen as Lieutenant Frank Drebin. He also starred in Airplane, Forbidden Planet, and The Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah, early in his career, he was like a serious actor. He was a dramatic actor, and then somewhere along the line, he just transitioned into comedy, and that's really all you saw him in, and not just regular comedy, just parodies and spoofs and slap, what do you call it, pratfalls, and just all kinds. And he's so good at it. He is.
Yeah,
you would never know it from watching his dramatic performances.
Yeah, he played all these different characters, but
right.
It wasn't like in an
straight.
Eddie Murphy way, though. It wasn't like in an Eddie Murphy way where like you didn't know it was Eddie Murphy.
Right.
He played him where you clearly knew it was the same guy.
Right. So this movie also stars George Kennedy as Captain Ed Hawken. He played in Cool Hand Luke, Thunderbird, and Lightfoot, and Small Soldiers.
It also starred Priscilla Presley as Jane Spencer. Naked Gun. She was in the whole Naked Gun series, The Adventure of Ford Fallon and Dallas.
Yes.
I didn't know that she did that many movies.
She didn't do many movies. That's basically that's.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, she's done a couple more. She's only had like 20 or something film credits, but most of those are TV credits. She didn't really do many movies. Like really, is the only real movies of note are the Naked Gun series and The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Dallas is the TV show.
Oh, yeah, Dallas is a show. Yeah. Okay. All right. See, I was right then.
Yeah. Up next is Ricardo Montalban. He played Vincent Ludwig. He's been in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, and Spy Kids, The Island of Lost Dreams. And just classically trained actor. Oh, what really tripped me out about this is that he used to have a series of commercials where he was advertising this car, and he used to talk about the leather in the car, about the car was made from Corinthian leather. And when you saw that, you basically associated him with luxury. So when you see him in this show, in this movie, it's basically kind of the same thing. He's like a rich dude, and has all these luxurious items around his office and his apartment. So it's almost like he's playing that character from the commercial.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure that's by design.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Next up, we have Nancy Merchand. That's how you say that, Merchand?
I think so.
She plays the mayor. She's also known for Sabrina and The Sopranos. Is that Sabrina the Teenage Witch or
no? That's a movie.
Sabrina?
It's a movie with Harrison Ford.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
No relation to Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Okay.
But I think most people would know her from The Sopranos.
Yeah.
She's also up next is Ray Burke. He played Pap Smear. He's been in Throw Mama from the Train and Doc Hollywood. So yes, audience, there's a character in this movie named Pap Smear, and it's not spelled the same, but that's how you're supposed to pronounce it.
And next up, we have the infamous O.J. Simpson, who plays Detective Norberg. He's from the Naked Gun series and the Towering Inferno.
Yeah. He doesn't have a lot of film credits, but he has a lot of TV credits. And, he could have just continued with his TV career, but then he just messed up, right? It must be the, whatever they call that brain injury that football players are getting.
Yeah, CTE.
Yeah, CTE. It must be CTE because that's kind of messed up, what happened to him. And now we got to talk about him. He's not really in a whole bunch of the movie. Like he's in a hospital bed for most of the movie. But, if you want to talk about the Naked Gun series or the Towering Inferno, then you're going to end up bumping into him. The horrible, we don't even know. He's still an alleged murderer. We still don't know. But at the same time, he really is a convicted felon. He was still down to do some dirty stuff.
Especially in the Black community.
Right.
Ask,
Right. But so we're going to bump into him. And anyway, this movie was directed by David Zucker. He's also directed Scary Movie 3, Ruthless People, and My Boss's Daughter. Are you going to say?
Hold on. Written by Jerry Zucker, Jim Abrams, and David Zucker. Directed by. Okay, I got you. Okay. Okay. And I was reading the next line. All right.
Yeah.
Let me do that over.
Right.
This movie was written by Jerry Zucker, Jim Abrams, and David Zucker, and Pat Proff. Jerry and David Zucker and Jim Abrams wrote the original TV series Police Squad. Pat Proff is known for Hot Shots, Wrongfully Accused, and Scary Movie 3.
Yeah. So, did you know that it was based on a TV show?
No, I did not. Police Squad sounds very familiar, though.
Yeah, it sounds familiar to me too. I don't remember if I knew or not that it was based on a TV show when the movie came out, but the show only had 6 episodes. So it was 6 episodes in early 1980s. And then for whatever reason, the studio decided to bring it back as a movie. So that's rare that you would bring a failed TV show back as a movie, unless it was a limited series, which I don't know if it was a limited series.
They didn't do too many of those back then.
Right.
Yeah, if some was working, it kept going.
Right. Especially a limited series with 6 half-hour episodes. Normally, so that
limited would be like a season or whatever, 10 episodes or. Nothing really lasts that long back then, too. You got to think about that. Some of these shows that we were so fond of was like 3 seasons.
Yes, a lot of those, but then some of them would last like 10 seasons and 12. So like they didn't want to stop. Like Cheers went on forever. MASH went on.
That was
Cheers.
Like, oh my
God, MASH lasted longer than the Korean War. It didn't seem like it was ever going to stop.
They were just making up stuff after a while. Yeah.
And then when it did end, it was like people were tearing up over that shit.
Yeah. MASH was so confusing to me as a kid.
Oh, really?
So confusing. Well, because I watched one episode and like Hawkeye's like just cracking jokes, and I mean, I think they even had a laugh track, didn't they?
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, and then the next episode, it's just people dying all episode long. It was just so confusing.
Yeah, that was MASH.
Yeah, it was just so confusing to me.
Right. So up next is the music. It's by Ira Newburn. he has only 37 credits, which is surprising because most of these composers, they have like, they're credited with hundreds of movies, or at least like in the high 90s. But he's done some great work. He's also he's composed for Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, the Blues Brothers, and 48 Hours. So that's it for the opening credits. And if you're enjoying the show, remember that you can get t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, face masks, jerseys, and more at our refurbished website, backlickcinema.com/shop. And autumn is coming up, so you know what that means. Gotta go to the shop and get the hoodies. I just ordered something from one of the stores at the shop at, I'm trying to think of the name of it, teespring.com, or as they like to be known now, Spring. They got the glass. Yeah, I know, right? they got glass tumblers. And I thought I had a glass tumblers for the show, right? Because I always like to buy some of my merch. But it was I asked Zach, I was like, Zach, what? Do you have my merch glass? And he was like, no, I don't think we ever had. I was like, what? I don't order my own merchandise. So
I need merch. I don't have merch for neither podcast. I need some merch.
Oh, yeah. Go to Teespring or TeePublic. That's the easiest way to do it. But Teespring is the only place where you can get the mugs, but TeePublic has where they both have a lot of stuff that you can slap your logo on. TeePublic is the easiest one to put your logo on because they don't have that many options. Like you can put like a logo on the front of a t-shirt or a hoodie or whatever, but that's the only place where you can put it at. Like you can't put it like on the back of the shirt or the little patch. But Teespring is a little bit more sophisticated, but it it's sophisticated because you have more places to put your logo. So, definitely try both of them out and see which one works for you the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said,
check that out.
The glasses are only at Teespring. And so it came yesterday and, I made some Kool-Aid and I drank something out of it. So Kool-Aid was the first thing I drank out of my Backlick Cinema merch glass.
Nice. Nice. Good way to christen it.
Right. Absolutely. So, that, like I said, that's it for the opening credits. And now, after this short musical break, we're going to talk about our favorite parts. And now we're back. We're going to talk about some of our favorite parts. I know it's been a while since you've seen this movie. So if in broad strokes, if you can think about anything that you remember that you really like, obviously the thing that you can remember will probably be your favorite part.
Yeah, exactly. So two parts that stand out to me, and one happened at the beginning, and I think one happens close to the end. When how OJ gets shot.
Yeah.
When he's like, being all trying to be sneaking and a spy, and he opens the door and like the guys have like all the guns just pointed right toward him.
Right.
And then once they shoot him, he like steps in a bear trap, knocks down a cage.
Right. He puts his hand on like a hot boiler. He leans against the wall. It's his wet paint, and it's like, oh no, right. And when he comes in, like it's on a boat. So when he comes to the boat, he tries to kick in the door, but instead of kicking the door open, he just kicks a hole in the door. So now his leg is sticking through the hole.
Yes. That was funny.
He comes in, police freeze, and it's like eight guys that pointing guns at him.
Just guns pointed right at him. And even like when he goes through all that, even the guys put their guns down. It's like, what is going on here?
One guy, like he says, drop it. One guy drops his gun.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody else is there. It's like, what is your problem? We outnumber him like 10-1, and you're gonna drop your gun? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And then Ricardo Montalban comes in and shoots him. So that's when he starts burning his hands and everything, and then he falls out the boat. And then later on, funny. There's when they go and investigate the scene, they find the boat that he was investigating, and there's a chalk outline that's on the water,
yes.
Which is amazing that you can do that. So go ahead.
Oh no, my second one was at the end when they're at it was a baseball game,
yeah,
right? And he's the umpire, and he starts, he realized is that when he calls a strike, the crowd cheers,
right?
The opposing team. So he just starts calling strikes left and right. I think he hits the moonwalk at one point.
Yeah.
That was silly. That was crazy.
Which is a fairly good moonwalk. So I wonder if that was him doing the moonwalk.
I know that was not him. I'm sure that wasn't him.
I don't know. It might be.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because it was really good, and the CGI back in the 1980s wasn't that good. So I don't know.
I mean, they had a stunt double for that, I'm sure.
And the other thing is that some of the times, like, well, when you're watching in the HD version, some of the times when he's falling, like there was a particular scene when he's coming into an apartment and he's doing all these flips and stuff. Like he's, you know how like a policeman, usually in an action movie, they come into the apartment, they do a roll and they come up with their gun up. So he's doing flips and whatnot. So you could tell that it's a stunt actor doing the flips, because it's like in the stunt actor that the wig that the stunt actor wearing was whiter than Leslie Nielsen's hair, and so it's in a slightly different style, so you can kind of tell. But it's funny that you know.
You know, on a side note, my favorite example of that was "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker."
Yeah.
They're in a bar, and I think the mom fights.
Right.
And like
right.
she's doing the backflips, and it's like a white guy.
Right, a white guy with a beard. Yeah. It's a white guy with a beard and mustache. That's ridiculous. I also remember, like, when you're watching stuff on HD now, and you're watching these old movies or these old TV shows, you can clearly see that it's a stunt double. But the most egregious example I've seen of this is I rewatched. It was an old Star Trek episode that first introduced Khan, and there's a fight scene between Captain Kirk and Khan in an engine room. And you can clearly see the stunt actor. Like, you can see his face and everything. Both of them. Both of the stunt actors. You can see both of them clearly. It's almost like it switched to a different TV show. So having a low-resolution television was crucial back in the day. So one of my favorite parts, one was like at the very beginning when they, I think even before the credits, well, actually, even the credits were a trip, but before the credits, they have like, at that time in the 80s, like the world's most, basically the United States bad guys. So you had Yasser Arafat, and you had Muammar Gaddafi, you had the Supreme Leader Khanemi, you had Idi Amin Dada, all of these bad guys that the United States was beefing with back in the day. And, you know, and a couple of others. And they even had Gorbachev there because he's like, well, they think that I'm with them. They think I'm the coolest guy, but I'm really like on your side or whatever. And then the detective, Dresden, what's his name again? Desmond?
Drebin.
Drebin, right. Detective Drebin bursts in and he starts beating them all up. Where one of them, he's doing the Three Stooges stick where he's waving his hand back and forth and the guy's looking at his hands, and then he pokes their eye out. And then he's just doing all this martial arts on all of these bad guys. And then he leaves, right? He knocks them all out and then he leaves. And that was just a funny opening, right? He's vacationing in Beirut and decides to go beat up some bad guys. So they're bad guys from our perspective. And to be fair, they are plotting the overthrow of the United States.
That's how we looked at everybody in the 80s.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Idi Amin, he was kind of bad. I mean,
Idi Amin was very bad.
Right.
Yeah, go look it up, kids. Go look it up.
Idi Amin Dada. Yeah, he was. I think they made a movie about him. The Last
they
King
did.
of
The
Scotland.
Last King of Scotland.
And that was what's his name?
It was Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker. Yeah. And it also had Avery from he played Professor X in X-Men in the new X-Men movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the actor. Yeah, he was also in the movie. And so moving back to what we were talking about, our favorite parts. Because I could go on talking about that movie. It's like, no, we got to get back on track. We don't have a lot of time. So I also like when he comes back. Oh, the opening I mentioned in the credits. So the opening was supposed to mimic the opening of the TV show that was on. So basically you're viewing a police car from the top of the police car as it's driving around the city, but then it's driving through people's apartments, and it's driving through a sauna, and it's like driving through a living room, just driving through all these places where a police car obviously wouldn't fit.
So wasn't that the opening to Dragnet also?
Dragnet opened like that, but the movie, I don't think the movie opened like that. But Dragnet did have the thing. And then Hawaii Five-0 also had elements of that, where sometimes you would see the street from the top of a police car with the lights going off. And so,
I think it was just the 80s police thing.
Yeah. And so, that opening was wild. And then you see him, Drebin, get back. And there's like a huge reception, and he's getting off the plane. Somebody offers him flowers. No, somebody's carrying flowers, and he says, "No, not for me." Yeah. And like when they looked at him, like, these weren't for you.
Yeah, Weird Al Yankovic gets off the plane.
Right. He goes up and he starts making a speech. It's like, you don't understand how these things happen or whatever. And then the crowd wasn't there for him. The podium was set up for Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, Weird Al Yankovic. Yeah,
and that was funny. Your Weird Al gets the flowers and stuff. So that was super funny. This is back when Weird Al was like, he was on top. I mean, they got a TV movie about him now, so he's still important, right?
He's is that out yet?
I think so. I forgot which service is on, but I want to
watch that.
Yeah, it's either out now or it's going to be out soon.
Yeah.
So I don't know, because Weird Al is really tall and the guy that's playing him is really short, so that's hard to connect to that. I don't know if I want to watch it with what's his name? Whoever plays Harry Potter, that's the guy that's playing Weird Al. And I'm
is it Daniel Radcliffe?
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe is playing, and he looks really good as Weird Al. He sounds just like Weird Al.
Yeah, he's just short.
Can't get over how short he is. Daniel Radcliffe is so short.
Well, they need to use They need to use that, the Tom Cruise Vin Diesel trick.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I would rather see Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine than as Weird Al.
Wow.
Yeah, because Wolverine is famously short, and they
Who's
just
coming back, by the way.
That.
Wolverine is coming back.
Well,
the actor,
what's
Hugh
his
Jackman.
Name? Hugh Jackman is coming back, right?
Yeah, Hugh Jackman. Yeah,
but
he's always Wolverine in my mind.
Right. I guess we're gonna have to change our mind about Wolverine. That was the original complaint about Hugh Jackman being Wolverine, was that he was 6 feet tall. He's taller. No, he's slightly shorter than what's his name? The dude that played Daredevil. I'm forgetting everything.
Ben Affleck?
No, Ryan Reynolds.
I'm
thinking about Daredevil, not Daredevil. I'm thinking about Deadpool. Right.
Okay, yeah.
So he's slightly shorter than Ryan Reynolds, and there was actually a scene where they're standing together, and either he had to stand on a stool or Ryan had to duck down a little bit because they wanted Wolverine to be the tallest character. So,
but if you think back even to the cartoons, Wolverine was not that tall. It appeared
in X-Men '99, he was like comic book height. He was short. Like, he's not like super short. He's like average height. So he's like, but if you imagine like Rey Mysterio Jr., he appears short, but he's average height. He only looks short because everybody else in wrestling is so tall. He's standing next
to guys who are 7 foot.
Right. He's 6 and 7 foot. Rey Mysterio is like 6'6". He's exactly my height. But he only looks short because he's standing next to like 6 foot people. Yeah. So Wolverine is like 6 foot something. No, not 6 foot. He's like 5'5" or 5'6" or something like that. But he's only short because all the other superheroes are super tall.
And he spends a majority of the time hunched over anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He stands in a fighting stance constantly.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
He's drinking a beer in a fighting stance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what he does. So that's his thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was you alluded to where Nuremberg was in a hospital, so he spends all of his time there. The first scene where they're in the hospital, that was a funny scene where, because he's in a hospital bed, he's got all of these bandages and stuff on him. They're trying to ask him questions, but they're misinterpreting what he says, because the first thing he says is "I love you," and I love you too, right? But he's not. The name of the
wife
boat
was there,
right? Yeah. The name of the boat he was investigating was "I love you," and that's what he was trying to tell them, but they didn't understand. And then he says a couple of other things that they misunderstand, and then there are the things where he's like Drebin is falling all over Nuremberg, who's in a hospital bed. The bed folds up and folds him in half. Like he's causing more damage than he's as he's trying to ask these questions. And then Leslie Nielsen is so serious in this scene. Like everything he does in the movie is so serious, which makes it extra funny. And then there's I like the name of the hospital. The name of the hospital is Lady of the Worthless Miracle.
Lady of Worthless Miracle.
And it's just a line that's thrown out in passing, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's and I love the way they just throw the jokes out here. Like almost everything is a joke, and they just throw stuff out. Yeah. And it's like if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. And I think that's the genius of this movie.
Well, it was a time when spoofs were spoofs. There was no realism to them. Everything was just comedy about it being funny.
Right.
The whole entire thing, police academies and all that.
Right.
Same way, everything was just hilarious.
Yeah, they as far as spoofs go, it was really good at, and it was spoofing everything. Like the beginning of this movie was kind of spoofing spy movies. They had a character in there that was kind of like Q from James Bond.
Yeah. And he did a spy movie. Spy Hard. Remember Spy Hard?
Right.
That was funny.
And what was the other things? And so they took different things from like TV shows and whatnot that they used to spoof. But it was just the fact that they just kept packing in the jokes. It's like I was like making notes of all the jokes and I had to give up because it was just
they come it was just too many. Punch after punch.
Too many to keep up with. So one of the jokes that are that's probably a meme at this point is when a series of incidents happen and Drebin ends up on top of the Queen of England, who was at the time touring America, right? And his squad was in charge of both protecting the Queen and trying to figure out who tried to kill Nuremberg. Yeah. So there's that famous scene of him on top of the Queen. There was this gag where he's in this apartment with his girlfriend, played by Priscilla Presley, and they're about to like have sex or whatever, and she takes off her dress. It's like with the dress, like she is just one button or whatever that's holding it together, and the dress falls down to the floor. And then Drebin is wearing a full suit, but somehow he's just able to tug on his collar, and the entire suit comes off. Like
he has like
dress
a
shirt
away
off,
NBA.
the dress shirt, the tie, the whole thing just comes off like it's a dress.
Yeah, he has like a NBA ripoff.
right. Yeah. And then they about to have sex and they're wearing condoms. Like their whole body is in a condom, right?
Silly stuff. Yeah.
Their whole body is in the condom. And then the last thing I'll point out that I can remember is when they're looking at evidence and he's looking through a microscope and he's like, I can't see anything. And the captain says, use your open eye, Drebin. He's looking at the microscope with the eye that he had closed. Yeah. The funny thing about that is that if you play the Solid Snake games,
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear, and some of those games, Solid Snake is looking through the scope with his eye patch, right? The eye that's patched is the one that's looking through the scope. It's like, these guys, the developers, really didn't think this through.
Hey, sometimes
they should have either put the patch in the other eye, or they changed the way that he held the gun.
Change the way you do this, or just took it out altogether.
Took it out altogether. They didn't need that scene.
Really need it. Yeah.
So those are some of our favorite parts of The Naked Gun. And if you watch this movie, or if you've watched it already, you'll have different favorite parts. There are plenty more scenes that we didn't go over, but it's just a fascinating film. It's so funny, and I would encourage everybody listening right now to go check it out. So that's it for our favorite parts, and after this musical break, we're going to talk about the trivia. And we're back with the trivia from IMDb, where we get all of our trivia because IMDb makes everything so much easier. So go ahead and why don't you start us off in the trivia?
Okay. According to David Zucker in the DVD commentary, the studio insisted on casting of an Oscar winner in one of the major roles. This led to the casting of George Kennedy, who had been actively campaigning for the role of Ed Hockin for several months, saying that he was furious at having missed a chance to spoof himself in Airplane 1980.
Right. So he's a serious actor. I don't remember his roles after he did this movie. I don't know if he continued with doing serious parts, but yeah, most of his career, pretty much all of his career, just a serious actor, right?
Yeah.
Dramatic roles. And he wanted so bad to spoof himself on Airplane, but he didn't get a chance. So this movie was a way to redeem himself. This movie is a big screen continuation of the cult cop spoof series of Police Squad that was out in 1982. The title was changed to avoid confusion with the Police Academy film franchise, which were also co-written by Pat Proft. David Zucker remembers that they were given a list of about 20 potential titles, and they chose The Naked Gun because it, quote, promised so much more than it could possibly deliver, unquote. Perhaps unintentionally, it also mirrors another TV series to movie adaptation, The Nude Bomb from 1980, which follows up the television series Get Smart in 1965. Did you ever see that movie, The Nude Bomb?
No, I did not.
I didn't even realize it had been in theater. It had flopped so bad.
What was that about?
Well, you remember the Get Smart series?
Yeah, I remember
from Maxwell
Smart.
So in the Nude Bomb, some terrorists had developed a bomb that basically would make people nude. Right, the bomb would explode and everybody would lose their clothes. And
what was it, Skinamax or something? Or
no, not just a regular movie.
Just a regular movie. Okay.
Was it, they never deployed the bomb. It was just a threat. In the same way, the nuclear bomb is a threat.
Why is that such a big deal?
Right. So
how does that ruin humanity?
Right. So
you lose your clothes and then you go get more. I mean,
right. Maxwell Smart, he's in charge of finding out who has the nude bomb, and and that's what the movie's about. So
okay,
and it flopped. But I saw it on TV and I liked it. So and maybe I liked it because it was on TV.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
So what's up next?
Let's see. Where we at?
C.
Yeah, okay. Susan Boban played Mrs. Goldberg, or Miss Goldberg, the wife of the character played by O.J. Simpson. Many years later, Boban starred in The People vs. O.J. Simpson, which was the first season of FX crime anthology series American Crime Stories 2016 about the O.J. Simpson trial. It all comes full circle, huh?
Right. Up next, the breasts that remind Frank of his ex-wife's are concrete reactor containment domes at San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station in California. Now, that's another funny gag. I really like that. He was like, everything I see reminds me of my wife. And you see these domes with, it looks like giant nipples on top.
During Vincent Ludwig's first encounter with Lieutenant Frank Drebin, Ludwig is feeding his fighting fish small minnows. This is identical scene in Bruce Lee's Game of Death, 1978, where Dr. Land, played by Dean Jagger, the main villain, feeds the same fish.
Right.
Okay.
So I hadn't seen that movie, so now I gotta watch that movie to get the joke.
I have many years ago. I used to watch my dad was huge into that.
Right,
watch all the Bruce Lee movies, yeah.
Ricardo Montalban was cast as the main antagonist, Vincent Ludwig, due to his performance as Khan Noonien Singh in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. I did not know that. So that role earned him the spot on this movie, which he was excellent as.
Seemed like it would be the other way around, but all right.
Right.
Seemed like Star Trek II would be a more prominent movie, but yeah, I guess, okay. Let's see. A few characters from the television series were recast for the film franchise. These include O.J. Simpson replacing Peter Lupus as Nordberg, which has the spelling changed to Nordberg, and George Kennedy replacing Alan North as Ed Hockin, Leslie Nielsen as Lieutenant Frank Drebin, Ed Williams as Ted Olson, and Tiny Ron as Al, were the only main characters to stay the same.
Right.
Okay. So Leslie Nielsen was in the original TV show too?
Yeah, that was his show. That was he's one of those actors that basically flow between television and movies. Like sometimes you see him in TV shows, sometimes you see him in movies. But this was supposed to be his show. But like I said,
he's also one of those guys I don't ever remember seeing him young.
Right. He just you have to go. You have to go all the way back to see him, even with black hair, because his hair turned white at an early age, I think. But you have to go like early black and white, like TV westerns or old black and white. Just been
old
movies.
All my life. You know?
Yeah. It seemed like it to me too. It's like, he's always old. Lieutenant Frank Drebin's line about shooting the Shakespeare in the Park performers is a close parody of a line Inspector Dirty Harry Callahan, played by Clint Eastwood, said about shooting a rapist in Dirty Harry from 1971. So I don't remember that. Even though I saw Dirty Harry, I don't remember that particular line. But I do like that the Shakespeare in the Park scene where he's talking about like how he saw somebody try to stab somebody with a knife, so he shot him. It's like, but they were doing Shakespeare in the Park.
Yeah. That's funny. You know, you look back on those Dirty Harry movies, man. Talk about police brutality.
Yeah.
He just shot people. He didn't know.
Yeah. The police brutality, you look at them in a different light. What you call it?
Do.
The one with the Charles Bronson movies were the worst, though.
Yeah, I always wanted to do and maybe I'll find some way to work it in part of my fandom, but I wanted to do something on like movies and TV shows that possibly could not be made today. You know, I always wanted to do that because there's so many, so many things that people cannot get away with today.
Right.
All right. Where are we at? Let's see. Okay. When Ludwig offers Drebin a Cuban cigar, Drebin states that his father was from Wales, a nod to Leslie Nielsen in real life. Nielsen had a Welsh mother. Okay.
Right. That was also a funny scene. Ricardo Montalban, his character Ludwig, he has a box of Cuban cigars, and he says Cuban, and he offers it to Drebin, and Drebin was like, "No, I'm Welsh and Irish, right?" Yeah. The funny thing about it is that what makes this movie funny is that at all times Drebin is completely oblivious to everything that's going on.
Yeah, it's kind of like Inspector Gadget,
right?
He doesn't know what's going on, but somehow he's gonna figure it's gonna get solved.
Right. Another one of the gags that they use is that, like, when he's driving the car, just crashes into everything. Like he's parking the car, just crashes, and it's almost like prescient of police mentality in today. It seems like when they're out and about, like, they don't care about decor or other people. They just like do whatever. Like, I think an example of that, you see that TikTok that gone viral, that police lady, and she was talking about just get the fuck out of the way.
Oh yeah.
It's like that. She's Drebin. She's Drebin driving the car because she's
got like fired too, huh?
No, she just got suspended for 10 days. 10 hours.
10 days. Okay.
10 hours. Yeah.
10 hours. Okay. That's fair.
She got a day off with pay.
A day off. Yeah.
And a stern talking to.
Oh, that's it, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Moving right along. Reggie Jackson depicted as an outfitter for the California Angels, and Jay Johnston as depicted as a player for the Seattle Mariners. Though both are legitimately former major league players, both had retired by the time this movie was released. Jackson retired as an Oakland A, his original team, in 1987, and Johnston has retired as a Los Angeles Dodger in 1985.
In German language version of the movie, dialogue is added in which a policeman asks a black man for his name, to which the man answers, "Whitey, white man." Man,
they should have kept that joke in the American version, man. Maybe they got nervous, but I like that joke. That would have been awesome.
That's hilarious.
Yes. That's it for the what did I call this segment? The trivia.
Yeah, trivia.
That's it for the trivia section.
You've only been doing it since the show's inception.
I know. I've only been doing this for like almost 2 years. Like in November, it's going to be 2 years. I've only been doing it 2 years, and I'm still tripping up. So that's it for the trivia. And up next, after this musical cue, we're going to see what the critics thought. All right, we're back. Going to check out what the critics thought. The critics on Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 86%. The audience score was 84%. So, they're here. They're right in line.
Yeah.
They're like when Martin Lawrence, when he says, we're here. And on IMDb reviews, it got a 6.7 out of 10. So why don't you start off with what the critics
7.6.
Yeah, 7.6.
Yeah.
What did I say?
6.7.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, what Rocky said. Rocky is right.
Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune said, it gave me about 10 big laughs and 20 small laughs and as many smiles that values for time and money spent. Is that a backhanded comment?
No, that's I thought
right?
that it was an actual proper review.
Yeah,
the movie is a spoof. It's supposed to make you laugh. He got 10 big laughs. He got 20 small laughs. He got many smiles.
Yeah, good
that's
money.
exactly what a movie that's a comedy, a spoof comedy particularly supposed to do. Like, there's nothing worse because a spoof comedy don't really have much of a plot. It just got a bunch of stuff that happens that's supposed to make you laugh. Just got a bunch of jokes. So if you're watching a spoof comedy, which ain't got no story anyway, and then ain't got no jokes, then now it's a waste of time.
All right. Desmond Ryan from the Philadelphia Inquirer said, the two Zuckers and Abrahams have surprisingly forgotten a principle of parody that they thought everyone else, namely that the jokes have to fit and that they have to refer to a target. In this instant, police movies.
So I don't agree with this statement because as far as I'm concerned, the parody can spoof anybody, right? It can do anything. The main focus might be a particular subject, like scary movie. The main focus might be scary movies, but you can hit anybody in the movies as long as it makes people laugh, as long as it's something that reminds people of something else.
Yeah,
and then it makes you laugh.
Exactly. Most of it's just nowadays the spoofs are spoofing society and pop culture and most things got nothing to do with the movie.
Right. I remember one of the things we did, I forgot which one. I'm trying to think of it right now. It's like buzzing in the back of my head. But on one of the movies that we had talked about, it's like it was basically a spoof movies, and most of the jokes were in the front half of the movie, and kind of like halfway through the movie they remembered that they have a plot that they have to finish up, so they kind of rushed to the end. The rest of the movie didn't have as many jokes because they wanted to finish up the actual story. But that worked for me because the front part was the back part of the movie was still funny. It just wasn't funny as the front part, but it still worked. The whole movie worked because it did what it was supposed to do, which was it was funny.
Yeah. That's
so David Kerr from the Chicago Tribune, he wrote, "The Naked Gun is hugely funny, but it's also liberating precisely because it centers around its aim in that cold, closed system and blows it apart. The straight lines are shattered, the empty spaces and the margins are packed full until they burst." So I think that he's kind of expressing what I had talked about. Is like, you don't have to stay specifically on the subject of just police. It's
just funny.
Right. Everything. Do everything. Have Drebin go out and punch out world leaders that threaten the United States.
Who cares? Yeah.
Have him on top of the Queen of England. Have him dressed inside of a condom. Right. Do all of that. And finally we have Jeff Andrew from Time Out. He wrote, "The endlessly tasteless juvenilia should make you ashamed of laughing yourself into a stupor." But Jeff, I'm gonna tell you, it does not.
It does not. No.
Not ashamed. This was awesome. It was fun. I think this dude, either he was trying to write a bad review for the sake of writing a bad review, or he was trying not to like it. Like he didn't like the fact that he was laughing at it. Like it's almost like if a white person makes a racial joke, you don't want to laugh at him, but you know the joke is funny, right?
Yeah. And it's like, endless, tasteless. It's like, what did you think you were going to see?
Right.
I mean, Airplane was already out.
Right.
I
think it's probably, it could, a third possibility is that he does not like this type of movies, but he was assigned this movie.
He should not have reviewed it.
Right. But he was assigned this movie. The newspaper, the editor was like, "You gonna watch this movie?" He's like, "I don't want to watch that movie." It's like, you're on the job. You watch. If you want to get paid, you're gonna watch that movie, review it. So
I'm only writing one sentence.
Right. Well, he probably wrote a whole paragraph.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
But but I think this is definitely malicious compliance on his part.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yes, definitely.
He quiet quit that day. That's what we call it nowadays.
Yeah, quiet quitting. Don't get me on that. Yeah.
Man, let me tell you something. We've been quiet quitting for a while. Like we've been talking.
Yeah.
We talked about what people are doing in quiet quitting. I remember Sinbad did a joke. He said, when black people take a break, we break, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when I heard the term quiet quitting, I was like, what is that? Like, what do they mean? And they was like, it's not what you think. It's just that you stop doing the extras and you just do your time and and then you go home. And I was like, oh well, shit, I've been doing,
Right. You've been doing that.
Yeah.
But there's some people they like to do extra. They like to do extra credit.
Yeah,
they want to get extra point. Curry favor with the boss.
That's
or,
right.
Or
I
actually
work with people like that.
Believe in the mission. Like say you're trying to do something like you want to serve that last customer. You don't want to which you put the customer out right when you close, right? But so I can understand that because I tend to be like that. Even on my job now, doing a little extra so that the company looks good or whatever. But then there are times when you're like, man, I just want to clock out and go home.
Yeah. Well, so my thing is like, and I, in my field, it's kind of like if you just go to work, right? You do your shift and then you go home. They call that the bare minimum.
Right.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
No, that's what you paid me for.
Yeah, that's not the bare minimum. That's what you hired me for. Right. You know what I mean? That's called doing my job.
Right.
Now, anything beyond that, now if I came in at and stayed to lunch and went home, okay, you can say I'm doing less of bare minimum.
Right.
But just because I'm not gonna stay until 6:00 tonight, nope, I'm sorry. You're not gonna trick me and get me into thinking that I'm not doing my job.
You're not getting free work out of me.
Nah, ain't no free labor over here. Yeah.
That's like I'm giving you the bare minimum because I'm getting the bare minimum pay. This is an exchange.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm working for money. I'm not doing this because I like you. We're not friends.
We're not friends. I have no stock in this company.
Right.
Whatsoever. Me and the owner are not on a first name basis.
Right.
I mean, you and the owner aren't even on a first name basis.
Right.
So yeah, it's just but they have actually tricked especially some of my younger coworkers.
Yeah.
They have actually tricked them to thinking, well, I'm gonna go ahead and stay. They asked me to stay this extra 30 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and stay, and it's like
right.
I kind of laugh it off. Okay.
Right.
In the morning.
Right.
But yeah, they have done that. Doing your job is right. Minimal effort. Really?
That's a bad word.
Yeah, bad word. Yeah, horrible way.
So finally, The Naked Guns from the Files of Police Squad is, as of this recording, available on Showtime. That's it for today. Please join us next week when I have another special guest. You are familiar with this guest because he's a former guest on Pardon My Fandom, Warren Marlowe, also known as the professional wrestler, the American Prodigy, and host of Buzzing with Marlowe, where we talk about the Karate Kid. Follow us on Twitter or TikTok at Backlick Cinema, or on Facebook or Instagram at Backlick Cinema Podcast for updates. Don't forget that you can contact us with any questions, comments, or suggestions at fanmail@backlickcinema.com.
Yeah, I know Warren. He's a good guy.
Yeah, all right. I look forward to our interview together. You have any additional plugs?
No, just listen to the podcast, Pardon My Fandom. Like I said, we wrapped up the season finale, so after tomorrow you'll be able to go listen to all 20 episodes in a row if you like. Also we'll be taking those episodes, some with video, some not, and I'll be putting them up on YouTube so you can watch and wherever you can catch it there also. And a new episode of Oddity is dropping later today, hopefully. So you can, for all your gaming news or whatever, you can check me and BDC out there. And what I'm trying to do now whenever I go on somebody's podcast, also I want to tell your listeners, if you're into any kind of weirdness or any kind of fandom, please reach out to me. I'm still taking guests for season 2 of Pardon My Fandom. So if you'd like to be a guest, come on, talk about what you're into. Feel free to email or find me on social media,
So do you have a email address you prefer for
pardonmyfandom@gmail.com.
All right. And
very
so
simple.
Is that the name of the YouTube channel? Oh God.
Yeah, the YouTube channel will be Pardon My Fandom.
Is it out now, or are you still setting it up?
It's not. It's not up yet. It'll be up. Give me a couple weeks.
Okay, but Audio Oddity, that one is up.
Yeah, Audio Oddity is up. Audio Oddity YouTube is up. Go subscribe. Audio Oddity YouTube is up. Yeah.
You hate to say it, right?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but it seems like you have to.
You have to say it.
You got to do the call to action.
Right. So it's called Audio Oddity on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
Okay.
Audio Odyssey is the YouTube. Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and I'll put all of those in the show notes. And one last time, if you like this show, then please help us grow. To do this, you can subscribe to the show, rate us, or write a review on Spotify, podchaser.com, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. And I know that you've enjoyed our guest Rocky, so please find him on Audio Oddity with his co-host BDC, and he can be found at Pardon My Fandom Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Believe me, it matters. Be safe. Share a movie from yesteryear with your family. Hug your loved ones. And if you're going to be anything, be outstanding.